Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations, where we generally look at one or another lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the Daily Office Lectionary. And I thought today for Friday we'd take a look at the lesson that's assigned from the first epistle general of St. Peter, the second chapter, beginning at the 18th verse. Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to do good and gentle, but also to the froward. For this is thankworthy, if a man for conscience towards God endure grief, suffering wrongfully. For what glory is it, if when ye be buffeted for your faults ye take it patiently? But if, when you do well and suffer for it, ye take it patiently, this is acceptable with God. For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his steps. Who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. Who when he was reviled, reviled not again. When he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him that judgeth righteously. Who his own self bare our sins in his own body on the tree, that we, being dead to sins, should live unto righteousness, by whose stripes ye were healed. For ye were as sheep going astray, but now returned unto the shepherd and bishop of your souls. Okay, so it starts off interestingly. Nobody wants to suffer. That's a reality. And nobody wants to be corrected. Nobody wants grief. Nobody wants to be receiving what Peter would say, being buffeted, right? But the reality is it's going to happen. And as he points out, if you suffer it patiently for something you've done wrong, well, you're getting the reward for whatever you did wrong. But what happens when you suffer and you didn't do wrong? What if you're suffering for the sake of the gospel? What if you're suffering for him, right? If you endure, if conscience toward God, you endure grief, suffering wrongfully. Well, believe it or not, this is promised to happen. What? Wait a second, Father. Nobody wants to hear that. But the reality is that if the rest of the world around us, maybe not all of it, but much of the world around us is not trying to follow Jesus Christ, is not trying to receive his love and to share his love, if much of the world around us is actually intent on doing its own sinful things and trying to draw others into it to justify themselves, well, then if you stand up for goodness and godliness and righteousness, the world will hate you, right? We know that. And the world hated Jesus for that reason, even though he was doing what was good and holy and, of course, of God because he is God. And Peter drives this point home exactly when he says that, this is Jesus. It's exactly what he did, right? He suffered for us, and he leaves us an example we should follow in his steps. So if we get accused, if those who reach out want to do something evil, if those who would seek to hurt us of something that we do not deserve, and we take it patiently, it becomes not only an opportunity for our greater holiness, but a witness of God's love, right? I always think about in the gospel where it says, turn the other cheek. We do that to show that we're willing to suffer for Christ, and that despite that, we're still willing to love. And in doing so, we may end up bringing others to Christ by our example of patience, by our patient suffering. It doesn't mean we shouldn't point out what's right. If we're being accused wrongfully, we don't point out the truth. But if we take it and we offer it up, it becomes a part of our sanctification and possibly becomes a part eventually of the sanctification of others. And that's all a good thing, isn't it? A very good thing. So today is Friday, so we don't have public worship at the church. It is Father Kelly's day off from going into the office, but not a day off from praying. And I hope that you'll be praying as well, morning and evening prayer at home, on your own, or with your friends. And God willing, we'll see you on Sunday in church.